Woohoo! I am so excited that you are here to celebrate the 100th episode of the Course Creators HQ podcast. And I've got some fun stuff planned for us today, so thanks for joining and let's jump in.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here's your host, Julie Hood.
Oh my goodness, I cannot believe we are here. 100 episodes. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I would not have made it this far without you. So I appreciate you joining me for the celebration today. And I have this incredible giveaway that we are doing. So I'd love to have you join. It's the 100th episode giveaway. And we're going to give one person will win a prize package worth $3,231. So it's including my 24-hour course creator program, a one-on-one coaching session with me, the ultimate course launch handbook, a bunch of my programs in addition to programs from some of my good friends and buddies, plus a journal and a ring light to clip onto your phone. Like, I just tried to pull together a bunch of information and training and goodies to share with you. So the link to join is in the show notes, or you can go to coursecreatorshq.com/giveaway, and that will take you to the page so that you can sign up and get on the list. And the really fun part about this is there's lots of ways to get more entries. So you can share it with your friends, you can share it on social media. I even have a couple pages. If you go and watch a video and go and check out one of my programs, you get more entries. So it all comes up automatically for you. Just put in your name and email address and you will be on the list. We're going to run the giveaway for a few weeks. So you want to enter before July 15th, 2022. And then we'll do the drawing for the winner. So thanks so much for joining us for today's episode to celebrate 100 episodes. And I will tell you, there were very many times when I was not quite sure if we were going to get to 100 episodes or not. As much as I love podcasting, it is definitely one of those long-term projects that you have to be committed to, whether or not you're seeing results right away. And so that's part of what I want to get into today, is I want to share some of my podcast lessons for you in case you're thinking, like, should I do a podcast? Will this be helpful for my business? Am I committed to it? I'll share a few of the things that you might not hear from other people who are doing podcasts. Like, I'm going to give you some of those lessons that I wish someone had said to me at the very beginning, so I had known ahead of time what to be prepared for and what to look for. So we'll jump into some of those today. So let's get into these 9 lessons that no one else would tell you about podcasting. And the first one is that podcasting really is a marathon and not a sprint. And by that, I mean you're setting up a new process that you're going to do ongoing for your business. So, and this was actually something that held me up at the very beginning. I knew I would love podcasting. I love to talk, if you haven't figured that out by now. And I knew that it could be a good fit for me, but I wasn't quite sure how I was going to add a new routine into my business, how I was going to have something to make sure that I had a very regular podcast. And so that is one thing I want you to think about ahead of time, is how will that work for you? And it could look a lot of different ways. Like, I actually record mine every week because I want to give you a current status update of where I'm at, but you don't have to do it that way. Like, you could sit down and record an entire month's episode in one day and get them all completed all at once and kind of do that batch processing. It's just a matter of knowing, okay, this is how I'm going to fit this in to my regular time of working on my business. So that's number 1. Number 2, the best place to find listeners for your podcast is where they are already listening. So you want to use those channels where people are already using audio and listening. So it may be other people's podcasts. It could be where you're guesting on someone else's podcast. I think it can also be some of the audio tools like Clubhouse, or if you're using Twitter Spaces. Those things where people are used to listening can be good conversion methods, because what's happening is you're finding people that already like to listen to content, and it might be better than, say, doing just a text Facebook ad for your podcast, because you might not hit those people who actually like to listen. So that's one of the things that took me a little while to sort of understand, like, find your listeners where they're already listening. Number 3 is to have a plan for monetizing early on. And this is pretty easy for you. You're a course creator. Podcasts and courses work really well together when you're doing a nonfiction kind of podcast. And you can start monetizing right away, even if you only have 50 or 100 listeners right off the bat. Like, you can do that. But I've noticed with a lot of podcasters, they don't necessarily think about that at the beginning. So they don't start building an email list. They don't start recommending things to their audience. And so then they come in after they've been at it for a while and are like, wait, I want to get a monetization from this, and they didn't think about it early on, so then they have to shift. So I'd much rather you at the beginning know that that's your intention, know that you're going to be sharing links out to your audience and get them used to listening, and knowing, like, you guys know, every single episode I share something with you in the show notes to go check out and go click on, and that's intentional. So I want you to do that too with your podcast. Okay, lesson number 4 is that lots of incredible experts are out there to share their expertise about podcasting. And this was one of the most exciting things as I started really getting into it, is there are a lot of people who know a lot about podcasting, and you can find and learn from them pretty easily. So once you start digging and looking for help, for advice, for people who are using podcasts to build their business, there's lots and lots of great experts out there to help you. So that was a great learning as I started getting into it even more. There's so many people who can share their expertise. Number 5, and this is a big secret that not a lot of people will tell you, but I think, in my opinion, that creating your own episodes for your podcast are a lot easier. And by that, I mean, instead of doing an interview type episode that most people want to do, where they're interviewing other experts, I think doing your own episodes can be a lot easier, especially if you have a lot of content that you want to share. I could see it being tough if you don't necessarily have a lot that you want to tell people, but I've got so much that I want to talk to you about with courses. Like, we can go on for lots and lots and lots of episodes. So the thing that makes it easier about it is you don't have to coordinate with someone else. You can record whenever you want. I actually record right into the software that I do editing with. So if I need to, I do my own kind of stopping and starting the episode. And if I need to cut something out, like, it's really efficient if you want to do it that way. So I just want to give you that little hint that maybe doing some of your own episodes and less of a focus on interviews might make doing a regular podcast easier. I do think it's good to pull in other people, because when you do those interview episodes, you spread the word about your podcast. You also get to bring in new perspectives and introduce really great experts to your audience. But I'm a big fan of doing your own episodes. It also helps if you like to talk a lot. So I was that kid in 2nd grade that got in trouble for talking all the time. And so I know that's a good fit for me, is doing a podcast where I have some of my students. They like to write. They're not big on talking or speaking. So they shouldn't jump into podcasting. So if you're one of those folks that used to get in trouble for talking, or you just like to talk, podcasting might be for you. Number 7, and like I'm laying it all out for y'all today, all of the lessons. It is a decent investment of time to get things started and to get it set up. I wouldn't say it's a lot, and it's definitely not more than creating a course, but you do have to get some things set up. Your art, your hosting for your podcast, maybe if you're doing an intro to your podcast, like some of those things I had to do at the beginning to get all of this set up. But then once you get it set up, that's like a one-time setup investment of your time. So you create that asset of your podcast, and then you just keep cranking out the episodes and sharing really good information with your audience. So there is some investment that you need at the front end. It's not horrible, but I just want to make sure you knew that. And then number 8, it is so much easier to get started with another group of experts. So I wanted to send a shout out to all of my podcast friends from August 2020, because we all launched together at the same time, and we're all starting to hit the 100 episodes over the next few weeks. And I so appreciated them. It was my cheerleading section. It was my very first subscribers. They were my very first reviewers, and they are still really good friends and supporters of my podcast. So big shout out to them. And if you're thinking about getting started, try to find a few people where you guys can do it together. And maybe you all signed up for a podcasting course together and you can work through it together, because there's definitely some advantages and it's easier when you're getting started with a group of people. I also want to do a quick shout out to some listeners: Bree, Ashayo, Alan, Nev, Neil, Artist MJ, Fit Fanny Adams, Rab 550, Ace, Misha, Kind Soul 111, Unbending Wind, Sensational Sarah, Tickle Words, The Original Nice Guy, Dr. Sarah, Joe Heller, Kimberly, Victoria, Susan, Don, Lana, Uwe, Homeschool Mom, Thomas, Fractalion, Erica, DJ Doug, and Paul. You guys all left reviews for the Course Creators HQ podcast, and I don't think you know how much that means to me. I love to go back and check these out and grab these reviews. They are a huge part of my motivation and excitement to do this podcast. So thanks so much for leaving those reviews. I really appreciate it. And then my last lesson for you, I think, is my favorite of all of them. And that is that you get a level of connection and intimacy with your listeners that you will not find anywhere else. Whenever they let you be in their earbuds, listen in when they're working out, when they're doing chores, when they're walking, when they are looking to fill empty space in their lives, and they use your podcast to do it, that is such an incredible honor and a level of connection that you won't find in other places. So I did an exercise a couple years ago where I was looking at the experts that I bought high-end courses from, and I realized they were all people who I had been listening to their podcasts. They had been sharing really great information with me, and I knew that they could help me. I already was at that place of belief that they were an expert and they knew what they were talking about. I knew that they had knowledge that was useful for me. And so when you were thinking about like what will give me that level of credibility, there's lots of different things you can choose, but I will say I think podcasting can be one of the best ones for building a level of connection, credibility, and authority, and just flat out intimate connections with your audience that you won't find in some of the other ways that you can market your courses. So I hope you enjoyed this celebration episode. I am so thrilled that we are now in triple digits, and we are hitting the 100th episode. Thank you so much for listening, and I really hope you will join the giveaway so that you could potentially be the winner of all the prizes. I tried to pull together this huge list, even getting some of my friends to jump in so that the prize winner will get an incredible set of prizes in this giveaway. So come join us, coursecreatorshq.com/giveaway, or you can go to your show notes where you have this podcast episode, and I'll put the link at the top so that you can jump in and join the giveaway and maybe become a winner. And if you could do me one other big favor, and that would be share it with your friends, share it with your social media. Let me know when you do so that I can comment and connect with your communities. I thank you for being here, and I hope you have an incredible week. And I can't wait to connect with you next week in episode 101. So make sure you jump in for that giveaway while you can, and I'll talk to you soon.